Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, Mike Lindell sent me a note yesterday. He has a special for the 6-piece towel set, $25 when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com, use promo code Joey. You'll get the $25 offer on the 6-piece towel set, and I promise you, these will be the most comfortable, the most absorbent towels that you own. mypillow.com, use promo code Joey. Get the 6-piece towel set for just $25. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson Bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson Bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Welcome into today's edition of Just the Truth. As mentioned yesterday, this week is going to be a bit different as I share with you my journey on the Patriots Alaska Cruise with my buddies Mike Gallagher and Sebastian Gorka. We left Seattle on Saturday. We spent the day at sea on Sunday. I talked with you about being in Juneau, Alaska, and Stephen Strait yesterday. Throughout the week, Dr. Gorka and Mike Gallagher and yours truly will be hosting town hall style meetings. Listeners are able to ask questions and join the conversation about the direction our country is taking and the importance of the November general election. Mike Gallagher and I are scheduled to talk about our trip to Israel in just a couple of days on the cruise. And we have other great events as we explore wonderful port cities and we just see the beauty of Alaska. Yesterday, we spent time in Juneau. Today, we're cruising to Glacier Bay. We're told to close our eyes and take in the sounds. And boy, when you do that, you literally hear cracks and moans of what they call living ice. You hear the cries of seagulls, and we've seen a few eagles along the way. The splash of humpback whales along the way. It is just beautiful. I've always heard about the beauty of Alaska. Now I'm actually getting to experience it, and what beauty it is. The frosted peaks towering over the mossy forest. And look, I want to share this with you. So if you aren't following me on social media, be sure and find me on Facebook. I'm on X. I'm on Instagram, YouTube. I'm sharing my experience with you along the way. I hope you will share that with me as well. Again, Glacier Bay National Park today, some of the most dramatic scenery in the world. You're just not going to believe it, and I want to share that with you. So be sure and find me on Facebook and Instagram for some of the photos. I've got a few short videos posted on YouTube because I want you to see this. Let me talk a minute about PhD weight loss and nutrition. Some people are getting that shot. I've had a number of people over the past few months. It's become very popular to talk about getting the shot to lose weight, but they gain it back, and it kind of makes them sick in the process as well. PhD weight loss and nutrition changes your thoughts about food, and I'm walking testimony. 4 years ago now, I'm celebrating my fourth year with PhD coming up this weekend, actually, because it was just past July the 4th in 2020 when I started my journey with PhD weight loss and nutrition. I lost 30 pounds. I've been able to maintain that. I feel so much better, and you will too. I hope that if you're considering PhD or if you're wanting to lose weight and get healthy, that you'll go to myphdweightloss.com or call and set up your appointment right now, 864-644-1900, 864-644-1900. As I was going through the archives and pulling some of my favorite recent interviews so that I could share these with you this week, again, I'm trying to keep you up to date, but with the limits that we have on internet aboard the ship and all, I'm not always able to keep it quite as up to date as I would if I'm back home in the studio. So I want to share with you some of my favorite interviews this week. And I dug a little deep. This is one of my recent ones, a soon-to-be released movie. It's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cry. It's going to encourage you to re-examine your faith. And it's based on the true story of three men who find themselves on the brink of execution. And as the countdown to their death begins, some remarkable things start happening. It's called The Firing Squad. It's a true story of redemption and a reminder that our faith can help us overcome any of life's challenges. The movie stars Kevin Sorbo, James Barrington, and a longtime favorite of mine, Cuba Gooding Jr., and he's with us today to talk about The Firing Squad. First, let me talk with you about appliances. If you're looking for a new appliance, if you maybe that refrigerator you got up this morning wasn't working, Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they will help you out because they're who I turn to every time I need an appliance. Jeff and Johnny and the whole team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're there to help you, whether it's replacing a broken appliance or you're doing a total upgrade in your kitchen. Find them online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. So I had the opportunity a while back to sit down and spend some time with Cuba Gooding Jr. He's just an amazing actor. You've probably seen some of his good work. Some of these Hollywood actors, like Cuba Gooding Jr. and like Kevin Sorbo, who've had tremendous success in Hollywood, have turned to faith-based films because they understand the importance of getting this message out to audiences. The Firing Squad is going to be released next month. It's a movie you're not going to want to miss. Here's my conversation with Cuba Gooding Jr. Cuba Gooding Jr., welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm blessed, man. Thank you. Thank you for having us, having the movie, being here. Everything's good.
Yep. The thing I love about my job is to be able to meet people like you. I have followed your career. Of course, I remember you from the Jerry Maguire days when you broke into Hollywood. My wife and I saw you on Broadway in the Trip to Bountiful.
Wow.
So you had a great career, both movies and on Broadway. Talk with us a bit about that journey and the ups and downs with your career.
Well, I mean, so I was technically discovered at North Hollywood High School on stage doing Little Abner in the Highwaymen. I played the Highwaymen in Little Abner, and one of the kids in the crew's mom was a lady by the name of Coralie Jr. of the Coralie Jr. Agency. And Coralie was Shirley Temple's only competition as a child actress. And obviously Shirley Temple grew to fame, and Coralie became an agent representing little people, first the little people in the Munchkins in The Wizard of Oz, and then it grew on to be, specialty acts like sumo wrestlers and female impersonators and sword swallowers. Anyway, she only came on this Sunday to see her son, and he wasn't even an actor in the play. He was doing the lighting. And she saw my character, and she came backstage, and she had this crazy voice. Said, "My name is Coralie Jr., and I think you got it, kid." And because she didn't have any actors, she only had like these specialty acts. Whenever there was a role that came in for an actor, I remember the specific role came in for a 50-year-old white male, she sent me on the audition. And that's when I met Jackie Brown. And Jackie Brown said, "I'm sorry, you're at the wrong audition." And I said, "Well, I'm here, so why don't you let me audition?" So she says, "Sure, come in." And I did the whole voice, and I became a character. She laughed and laughed and laughed. She goes, "This is the best audition I've seen all day. I'm going to bring you back when I have something for you." And the something she had for me was a little film called Boys in the Hood. And that started my career. And I'll never forget meeting John Singleton. And then from there, I mean, your question encompassed so much of me, but I figured I'd start from the very first movie with Boys in the Hood. And it's been, I think that word is so effervescent and so perfectly stated as a journey. It has been a journey from playing, Rod Tidwell to my real life. My favorite roles have always been my real life people in history, like Master Chief Carl Bashir in a film I did called Men of Honor.
Oh, yes.
Like Dory Miller in a film I did called Pearl Harbor, like Ben Carson I played in a movie called Gifted Hands, who was a neurosurgeon who was the first Black man that successfully separates Siamese twin infants at the brain. And I can do this for about another 3 or 4 minutes.
You have a long, and Dr. Ben Carson, I've interviewed him many times. What a wonderful man he is, for sure. The Firing Squad, it's about faith. It's based on this true story of three Christian prisoners who are facing their execution in an Indonesian prison camp. You've been outspoken about your faith. You were quoted as saying, and I'm going to read it, "Our nation, let alone the entire world, has appeared to move away from God in so many areas of society. It's time for us to get back to our faith. Our film, The Firing Squad, was the first script I've read in a very long time that reminded me that we are all surrounded by God's love and that his faith is eternal." This is all very true and not a message we hear a lot out of Hollywood.
Yeah, it's hard to turn on the news today and make sense of anything you see in not just in the United States, shootings in schools, in churches. I mean, we were doing a day of interviews like this about 3 weeks ago, I believe, and I was in between interviews. I just turned on the Today Show, and there was a man there was a pastor giving a sermon in a church, and the man just literally stuck his gun and it clicked. Wow. And then they tackled him. And I'm like, even the church isn't safe anymore, let alone overseas with what's happening in Gaza and what's happening all over the world. It's just, for a while there, I think in the mid 2000s, it became cool to say, I don't believe in marriage, or, there is no God. I'm an atheist. And, there's accountability in life. And I think that eventually we as a society of people have to recognize that we're not alone, that we have a force that is here to help us. And eventually you're going to make that force remind you he's here, and it's one of those things that when I read this script for The Firing Squad, I had such a visceral reaction to that end moment, because my grandfather used to say that we all have a page. Everybody has a page. You're dealing with something in your life. I'm dealing with something in my life. This person might be dealing with a grieving loss. This person might have had a horrible cancer diagnosis. Everybody has a page.
Yes.
We don't know what everybody's dealing with, but all you can do is try to get through what you're dealing with as much hope and dignity and hopefully faith that everything will work out for you and for your situation. And it's stories like this. I know I go to the movies because I might be having a bad day, but I can sit in there for 2 hours and see somebody going through something 10 times worse than anything I am dealing with. And it makes me feel just like, and these were one of those scripts. These are one of those scripts that I read and I went, the world needs this. The world needs this story.
Yep. And that's the magic of movies. And it has to be so satisfying for you to be in movies like this, knowing that you are affecting people's lives. You're giving them that bit of encouragement. Maybe it is just for a couple of hours during one afternoon, but you're encouraging them, and you never know how that's going to change their life.
That's right. Yeah. It's so funny. I did a film with Dustin Hoffman, and he told me, you look at that magnifying glass you look at that camera and it's a recording device, right? I said, yeah. And he goes, no, it's a magnifying glass for the truth. So whatever you feel, be honest with it because it's recording it. And, I've done, like you said earlier in this interview, a lot of these characters that have this emotional core to them, from Rod Tidwell learning that he's winning the big prize, to Ben Carson healing these people, to now The Firing Squad, where these men have to find their faith in that 11th hour and paying the ultimate sacrifice. And if I didn't have the truth of that performance, I don't think people would believe the story. So I've been blessed to be able to share that. Yeah.
On our guest line today, Cuba Gooding Jr., soon to be starring in an upcoming film, The Firing Squad will be released later this summer. Talk about the primary themes of this movie and why you feel it's an important story to share.
So Tim Shea, the writer, director, producer, had met in the early 2000s, and we had done a film, a slave tale called Freedom. And we had such a spiritual connection on that film. And he said, we're going to work together on something greater than this. And I didn't know what he meant at the time. So you fast forward over a dozen years later, he calls me up and he says, I have this script, true story, about 3 Americans who meet in an Indonesian prison overseas, and they're given the death penalty by firing squad, and I want you to play one of these characters. I said, well, send me the script. And I read it, and I knew then that this story of redemption, of strength, of faith, of these 3 people was going to be so timely for what we're dealing with in today's society. And the proof in it, other than the screenings that we've had, 24 grassroots screenings, and we've seen the reaction, the visceral reaction of the audience crying and literally coming out of the theaters. And you can go on the website and literally hear the testimonials. But again, I turn on the news and I see these stories of these Americans and Turks and Caicos who had left some rounds of ammunition in their bags. Now they're facing 15, 20 years in prison.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's our story. There it is again.
Yeah.
So I think it's God's way of letting you know that we're on the right track here with this.
Yes. You mentioned the screenings. Talk with us in further detail about the reaction of the audiences who have been able to see a screening of the film.
Yeah. So it's been interesting because what we've done, the producers and the filmmakers have set up this program where we come to these small communities and we find these faith-based communities and we show them the movie. And then at the end of the movie, we ask them if they would like anyone else to experience this movie. And hands go up and then they say, well, you can go and you can have this movie screened for your church, for your whatever your organization it is, your be it whatever congregation or whatever that you're dealing with. And then the people walk out of the theater and then they walk past the cameras because we have the red carpets to set up, and they talk and they start to give their own personal testimonies. Some are led to the Lord. Some receive God right there in the auditorium.
Wow.
I was in one in LA where Tim said, I'd like to say a prayer. And he started praying and he said, if anybody wants God in their life, and the hands went up. And so he did the Lord's Prayer with these people, and it was amazing. It really was one of those moments where, I had another moment like this early in my career. We had finished Boys in the Hood, and we did a screening. We did a couple of screenings, one in Chicago, one I believe in St. Louis, and people got shot in the theater. And what had happened was we had the rival gangs fighting each other in the theater because they saw the colors of the Crips and the Bloods. Yeah. So the studios, Columbia Pictures, said, we have to have a press conference. And so myself, Ice Cube, Lawrence Fishburne, John Singleton, we all sat there and we said, this is, because the studio was afraid we couldn't put the movie out. We said, no, this is the voice of these people shooting. They're so moved by what they see on the screen that they feel like this is their lives. And they're seeing the banality and the insanity of their behavior. And, after that movie came out and was successful, the Crips and the Bloods, the rival gangs, they made a truce that still holds to this day. And I feel that movie moved that society in a way that evoked change. And I think that this one can too.
Yeah. You work with Kevin Sorbo, James Barrington. I've had the opportunity to interview Kevin Sorbo a number of times in the past. Give us some of those behind the scenes. There's always stories when you're making a film like this. Take us, pull the curtain back a bit and give us some of those stories behind the scenes, some of the things that have happened during the making of this film.
Sure. Well, there's 100 of them. But the funniest thing is Kevin Sorbo and I, even though you might see us together in the film, we didn't work a day together.
Really?
Our schedule was completely separate. We only met. And by the way, Kevin and I met when that screening happened in LA, when those people came to the Lord and we did the prayer and then we hugged and everything. That's the first time I met Kevin at the screening of the movie. But Barrington, he and I shared a lot of scenes together. And he was just an open vessel. It's funny, when we shot in the abandoned prison, it had been abandoned and then turned into a chocolate factory. So to be shooting these scenes, these heavy scenes of torment and anguish, and to smell chocolate That was like our inside joke to run away. I'll never think of chocolate the same way again. Me neither.
Well, I would love that. I'm a chocoholic, so that would have been motivating for me.
I don't know. It's crazy. I spell chocolate. I get a little twitch now.
Yep. Yep. In our final moments here together today, and thank you again on our guest line, Cuba Gooding Jr. in the firing squad. This is coming out later in the summer, and as you mentioned, there'll be opportunities for faith-based organizations to share this. Give us your final thoughts on this and why we should be seeing this.
I think it's a time of healing for our country. We have presidential elections coming up. We have governments fighting with other factions of the UN. We need faith-based stories. We need to get back to God. And I think in a small way, we as the faith of America can heal the world. And we do it through our churches, through our leaders, and as we as artists have an obligation to provide the fuel to find a path to faith and a path to open. And I hope that in some small way we do that with the firing squad, which opens August 2nd this summer.
Thank you again for your time. I hope that the film is hugely successful in a number of ways, financially successful so that we can see more like it, but of course touching those souls and leading people to Christ. That's our goal here, and thank you for the part you played in this.
Thank you, sir. Good to talk to you.
Yes.
We'll see you again.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, buddy.
Hope you'll join the conversation today. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Send your comments to the Firmin Ford text line. You can leave a quick voice message, and your emails are always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Just click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, find me on YouTube. Be sure and like, subscribe, follow me on my YouTube channel. Just search for Joey Hudson. Appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with me. Be sure and forward this edition of Just the Truth to some friends. Just click on the share button. Send it to a few of your contacts, because if we're going to build our community and if we're going to win in November, we got to build an army of conservatives. The way we beat Joe Biden is through educating people, and no better way than encouraging them to listen to Just the Truth. Hey, keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your emails always welcome as well. Joey@joeyhudson.com. Don't forget to take advantage of the MyPillow special, $25 for the My Towels 6-piece towel set when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. We're back again tomorrow. Hope you will be too. Remember, God's got this. He's still in control.